The identity shift for me is understanding that something that you've kind of ingrained in all of us in your program is that whatever man that you're attempting to be, whatever person that you want to be down the line, you have to be that person long before you become that person, long before you become that multi-million-dollar businessman, that VP or doctor or top tier attorney, whatever it might be. Long before you become that person, you have to assume that identity, in the now, and move as if you are that person today.
How are y'all doing? It's Aaron Allenby, CEO and founder of BASIX. And in today's video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be interviewing one of our VIP Apex builders by the name of Abdie Mohamed. Him and I ended up connecting probably about a year ago, just on a friend-to-friend basis in a networking group that him and I are a part of. And towards the latter half of last year, he ended up deciding, hey, Aaron, I need your help with fitness. Not only do I need your help for a shorter term, meaning like we have different kind of packages, guys, as you all know. And Abdie was one of those guys that just told me up front, like, man, I need that coaching. I can't just do like a 90-day program or like a 16-week program. I'm definitely going to need like a longer term kind of thing. So Abdie's one of those guys that up front, we typically don't do that for people initially. But since I already knew who Abdie was from a networking standpoint and just as a personal, like person-to-person standpoint, we ended up deciding to get him past levels 1 and 2 all the way to 3. And he is a awesome success story and a good representation as to what we stand for here. So Abdie, go ahead and tell the people about yourself now.
Hey, what's going on, lovely people? My name is Abdie Mohamed. As Aaron shared with you, we met late last year at a men's development conference, and we got connected and we started talking with one another. And I was in my career doing good things. I'm an IT guy, and I realized that my health was not where it needed to be. And it was a big weakness of mine, something I wasn't really proud about my health or where my physique was. And talking to Aaron, I realized that, hey, if you want to excel in your career, your business, whatever it might be, creating that strong fitness foundation is extremely important. So, and I can't thank Aaron enough. I've been really inconsistent with my fitness for years. And I told myself at the end of last year, hey, this is the year I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to get on a plan. I'm going to hire a coach. I'm going to stay disciplined, and I'm going to, execute as much as I can.
And you did exactly that, man. So let's talk a little bit about your experience with fitness before you started our program, man. Because I know you just mentioned right now that before you started, you were kind of on and off again for quite some time, right?
Yeah. So my fitness journey, quote unquote, started like, freshman year of college. So this was back in 2014. I'm dating myself. It's 2014. That's when my fitness journey started. I started like, picking up weights, working out. But, year after year, I'd work out with not a real solid plan. I mean, I've tried intermittent fasting. I've tried keto before, and I realized over the years that none of these things were going to work for me. Well, because I'm not consistent at anything. I'm consistently inconsistent. So that was a big thing with exercise. I'd, make a little bit of progress, and then I'd begin to self-sabotage and, make excuses as to why I couldn't work out. Like working out wasn't a lifestyle. It was more of a quick thing that I would do to get some satisfaction from. And hey, I want to make gains in 3 months, and then we'll see what happens after that. I wouldn't see gains after 3 to 6 months as much as I'd love to see. And I'd say, all right, well, this is a scam. No point in working out. It wasn't healthy the way I was looking at it. And then meeting you, talking about fitness journey, and then talking about real transformations, you kind of shed some reality to me and said, hey, if you want a real significant body transformation, it's going to take time, because it took years for you to get to where you're at today. Give yourself some grace. It's going to take some time to get to where you want to get to. So that's been the best part of the program, just understanding the reality.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, 'cause as you know, man, there's a lot of stuff out there that's very confusing to people when they're trying to learn how to get in shape, initially by themselves, right? So what about like some of the stuff that you were consuming prior to, starting our program?
Yeah.
What was the most confusing part about it for you? Because I know you said intermittent fasting, you said keto, and a few other things. I know you were talking about lack of consistency also. What else do you think was stopping you from getting results by yourself simply by looking at TikToks or Instagrams or
Yeah.
YouTube videos?
Yeah. So over the years, just, there's just so much content out there in fitness. There's just so many different perspectives on it, different, ways to attack the challenge of being fit.
Mm-hmm.
What I had the challenge of was listening to too many people. I was listening to way too many different, fitness enthusiasts, different trainers. You should do this. You should work out this. You shouldn't deadlift. You shouldn't squat. You should squat. You should deadlift. You should never bench press. You should always stick to calisthenics. It's just way too much, like, overwhelming amount of information. The information is out there, but it's just so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And, as far as the consistency portion, I wasn't looking for a lifestyle change. I was looking for a quick transformation to tell my friends I look good,
Yeah.
and not realizing, after talking with you that, you know, your fitness is not just you trying to look good. Looking good is a byproduct of it, yes, but being fit is how you can become a much more competent engineer. You become a much more competent sales professional, a much more competent father, family man, sibling, community member, whatever it might be that you're doing. Being fit upgrades all of those other parts of your life. They're all interconnected, right? And I never looked at it from that perspective. I didn't realize that, hey, I want to become a phenomenal engineer, a high performer, within the respective organization that I'm in. And I didn't realize that for me to be that high performer, I need to be able to maintain, a level of fitness where I can, work, a longer hours. I can think sharper. I can, articulate myself really, really well because I'm in a healthy state. So that was a big thing that I just didn't realize beforehand.
It's always tough putting those two things together. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we start thinking that we think that the more that we put in with work, sometimes like the more that we get out. But at the end of the day, if you're showing up at 50%, right, and you're putting in 8 hours of work, you're really putting in like 4 hours of work, right? So like really the question is like, how can you show up at 100% that we can get 100% utility out of the time that you do spend working? Because you show up at a quarter, you can be working 10 hours, but if you're only showing up as a quarter of who you could be, what's that, like 2.5 hours that you're working out, or you're at like a focused, dedicated work that actually matters. And especially when someone's an engineer like yourself or IT professional in general, everything is very brain intensive. If you don't have enough sleep the night before, one small move, I'm sure, can definitely just set up a really bad disaster from happening with whatever you're responsible for, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as you continue to grow within your career or your business journey, there's more stakes on the table. You have more to lose. And for me personally, I can't afford to let my health be the reason I'm not able to take care of my loved ones, myself, my family, you name it, right? I cannot allow me not being in a good, healthy shape, good, healthy state of mind. Let that be the detriment to my career and what I got going on. So it's a no-brainer nowadays. Staying healthy is a no-brainer. It has to be part of who you are. It's an identity shift.
100%, man. So I want to touch on another thing before we get into that identity shift part that you just mentioned. I know that we were talking earlier about because you're obviously a smart guy, right? Like you're one of the smartest people I genuinely know from a very real and transparent standpoint, right? So what ends up happening is that very smart people sometimes think that they can piece things together from social media content and they can make their own program by themselves, right? I know we just mentioned that earlier, and reading the content and what was confusing you, but I really want to know more about that last straw for you, because obviously you're smart enough to figure out how to make a workout program yourself, or how to make a diet plan, or differentiate right from wrong over time. What made you decide to start, entertaining the idea of getting a coach versus just doing it yourself?
Yeah, valid question. And that's a question that people ask when it comes to doing like a tech coaching program or boot camp, et cetera. What really comes down to, you can find all the information that you need online, but you have to ask yourself, if you've tried that before and it's not working, you've tried that time and time and again. Well, given that it's not working, it's safe to call you insane. What do they say? Is like insanity is when you do the same exact thing expecting a different result, right? I wasn't getting the results I wanted. I wasn't, getting as strong as I wanted, as healthy as I wanted. And it was just a no-brainer. Listen, all this other stuff, me trying to piece all these different routines together, these content creators and these athletes, all their nutrition advice, piecing it all together on my own, creating a program on my own, that hasn't worked. It hasn't worked for me. Maybe it might work for you, it might work for someone, might be watching this. Maybe it might work for you. But in the event that you've tried this time and time and again, stop wasting your time. For me, I realized, hey, I'm only getting older. I just turned 27 today. I'm not old. I'm still young. However, I don't. The thing about paying for coaching, paying for money, is you cut a lot of time off, right? I don't have to worry about what I'm eating today. I don't have to worry about what type of workouts I'm doing today, right? And for me, it was a no-brainer. Like over time, I realized, I said, hey, I'm not getting the results I want. Stop trying to do it alone and just hire someone, to offset that, right? I get it. Money. People always say money's tough to come around. I'd like to think that you'll always put money into what's most important to you, And for me, what was most important to me is to be the best version of myself. That best version is also in the best shape of his life. So, if anyone's watching this, I encourage you to really ask yourself, if you've been doing the same exact thing and you're not getting the results you want, it's time you made a change. A big change, that could be extremely beneficial for you is definitely coaching.
And that's the thing too, man. Now that you're mentioning the coaching part, I heard this quote from Dave Ramsey the other day. Dave Ramsey said that personal finance is 80% behavior change and 20% information. And as soon as he said that, I realized that with fitness is the exact same way. Right. Meaning like it's all about that behavior change. So a lot of people will focus all their energy on learning the information behind working out. I know some of the smartest people in the world, or I know people that are super smart with fitness and nutrition. They know everything about progressive overload, meal planning. They will correct me sometimes about my cardio, me as a trainer, right? But they're still overweight and out of shape. And they've been that way for years. And it's because they're focusing all their attention on the information versus the execution of what they know. Right. So that's where like coaching comes into play that a lot of people don't really take into account. It's like, sure, you can figure out how to make a workout program for yourself, but if you don't do anything with that information, you're not going to get to where you want to go. And the only way to really adapt those, have you ever heard that saying, if you hang around 4 rich people, you'll be the 5th?
Yes.
It's the same way with fitness. It's like you hang around with a whole bunch of people that are following their macros, go into the gym, and they prioritize their health and fitness regardless of the event. That's when you can start adopting their beliefs, patterns, and like you mentioned earlier, the identity of those people, right? So that leads into my next question. Let's talk a little bit about how your internal identity has shifted from before when you started our program to where you're right now, to where you're able to balance fitness and your profession without one taking away from the other.
Yeah, so with the identity shift portion, what I would tell myself beforehand is that, hey, you're always going to be behind. You're always going to be, in 3rd, 4th place, because no matter how hard you work, you always fall off the horse, and the identity shift for me is understanding that something that you've kind of ingrained in all of us in your program is that whatever man that you're attempting to be, whatever person that you want to be down the line, you have to be that person long before you become that person, long before you become that multi-million-dollar businessman, that VP or doctor or top tier attorney, whatever it might be. Long before you become that person, you have to assume that identity, in the now, and move as if you are that person today. And for me, that was a big identity shift for me. What would the Abdie from 10, 20 years from now, how would he operate? Abdie as a father, right? Abdie as an executive, how would he operate? And that was a big identity shift for me, because I realized I have to move as if I am that person today. You have to be him before you become him. And for me, that was the biggest identity shift, because now whenever I make my decisions, I make the lens of those decisions as if I'm that person that I plan on becoming down the line, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, man. And that's the thing that we try to set guys up for, man. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like guys like yourself, 10 years from now, you're going to be doing something incredible, even better for yourself, right? So the thing is, what we're trying to do at Basics is, it's like, let's set up the people that are trying to be the leaders of whatever industry they're in. Let's set them up that way they can be in shape in the process. Because there's a lot of people out there that are very wealthy, but they're not healthy. And then I want to do my best, at least with what I'm doing right now, to help those people on their journey to becoming extremely, extremely wealthy. Let's get you healthy in the process. That way, by the time you're there, you can enjoy it. You know how to count your macros, you know about the oils, you know how to work out more. And by then, if you were working out on the process of doing whatever you got to do professionally, then by then you don't have to worry about balancing the two because you were doing the two the whole time. You know? So
Yeah, that's another thing. I used to tell myself all the time, I don't have time for fitness. Like, you know how crazy that sounds to me now? I'm like, dude, what do you mean you don't have time? Just the best part about fitness too is like, hey, maybe you can't get a 1.5 hour workout in today, but you can go for a quick 20-minute walk. You can go outside, you can get something, you can get some push-ups done. You can always, there's always an opportunity there, to improve upon yourself. And I think that's what I also realized in this program. Like, hey, maybe you got a bunch of flights, you're traveling, you're going through a lot right now. Okay, fine. Hey, listen, can't make it to the gym. Okay, go outside, go for a walk, get some push-ups in, do whatever you can, just keep chipping at it. And that's what I liked about the basics, protocol in the community here is listen, man, go down swinging. Go down swinging.
exactly. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the challenges that you were facing when you first started the program. Because obviously, with the screening process that we have, it's not like there's no link out there for people to just buy coaching.
Yeah.
Right. Like we have the whole process in order to make sure that you're a good fit for it. And obviously, you went through the entire process, right? So talk to me a little bit more about the first week when you started and how you had to like adjust from like, okay, I'm not working out as much as I need to. I'm not following really like a meal plan or macros. You go from 0 to 100 from 1 week to the next. Talk about that adjustment period for yourself and how you were feeling initially.
Yeah. So initially it was a little tough. It is tough because you're engaging in new behavior, number one. And number two, with a coach has a set of standards for you. You have to also adopt. You also have to adopt those standards for yourself. So what I struggle with understanding is that these workouts are not going to be fun. For the first, for a bit, they're not going to be fun. Now it's still a workout for me, yes, but it's not as it's not as overbearing as it was when I first started. When I first started, just finishing a workout, following the basics protocol was tough. It was tough. My first leg day on the basics protocol, I was like, whoa, what is this? Right. However, again, it's the standards for yourself are being raised. Right. So because those standards are being raised, there's an adjustment period. And for me, that adjustment period was understand the workouts. Number one, upping my understanding that, hey, this is gonna suck. This is what it is. Just keep pushing, keep fighting through it. That was one thing.
Yeah.
Number two was understanding that the meal plan is there for you to support you and get you where you want to get to. So the more you deviate from the meal plan, the more harder it is to get to where you're trying to get to. The meal plan is literally tailored for your needs. And when you deviate from that, I've noticed whenever I deviated from the meal plan, that's when dieting gets harder. Right. And for me, the meal plan is something that's tailored for you, for what you like, for what you enjoy, and based off of what Coach Aaron, feels that it's best for where you're at, in terms of satiety, in terms of how fast you can make the food. It's very tailored for your schedule, right? Maybe you travel a lot. Well, there's a certain meal plan for that, right? Maybe you're at home a lot. Okay, maybe there's a certain meal plan for that, right? It's just for me understanding that, hey, the meal plan is there to support me. It's not like a bunch of chains. No, it's a guide on how you should be eating, and that's how you get the gains that you're looking for.
Exactly, man. And one thing that you mentioned right now, and it just came top of mind for me, you were talking about kind of putting your trust in me and knowing what was you trusting me in order to know what's best for you, right? One of
Yes.
the things that we ended up doing when you first started our program is we initially wanted to cut down, right? I want to say this
Yes.
to the camera. So I want to
Yes.
kind of talk about that journey between you wanting to cut down and then us going the route that we did for you. And then now that you're at your goal weight and we accomplished the goal that we've been working towards for months, right? Talk to me about how that whole process was from having to switch your goal once you started our program, taking the longer journey, but now you look exactly the way that you wanted to the whole time.
Right. So originally, for those who don't know, I wanted to cut down. However, the challenge with that was is that I didn't have much muscle on my frame. There wasn't much muscle, and I was really skinny fat. But again, not a lot of muscle. There wasn't much to cut starting off. And Aaron, he said, "Hey, it's not that you can't cut right now. It's that if you do, it's just not going to look pretty." And at first, I was a little apprehensive to it, and I realized, hey, I paid a lump sum of money to hire an expert. And this is my philosophy too. You should ask the expert your coach questions, yes. However, you don't forget why you hired the expert in the first place. You hired them to do a job. Trust them. Trust them to do that job. Again, ask questions, right? Things don't make sense to you, ask questions, get clarity. However, understand that, hey, the reason why you hire the expert is because you want them to solve a problem. Let them do their job, right? So for me, I had to kind of allow you to do what you needed to do to help me. I had to get out of my own way. So if you're doing a fitness program, just be mindful of that. Get out of your own way, right? You hired the expert for a reason. Listen to the expert advice. Nothing wrong with giving pushback or asking questions, but ultimately, don't forget why you hired them in the first place. You're investing in yourself. Trust them to get the job done.
100%.
And it worked out good. It worked out good.
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about some of the results you've seen so far, man. Because obviously we have a few more months, or not a few. I think we're like 5 more months with your program, right? It's something it's kind of longer.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit later because I know you started in December, and then 2 months after that. So you'll be finished in February and September by the time that we're recording this, right? So we still got some good time to build some muscle mass back on, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
talk to the people a little bit more about the results you've seen so far, about the weight loss, the strength gain, the mental benefits you've gotten, the organization benefits you've gotten. Just lay out all the pros that you've received so far.
Yeah, so definitely the pros that I've seen, since starting the program, the byproduct of you getting stronger in the gym, it does increase your confidence. You do feel confident about yourself. And the reason why you feel confident about yourself after, working out over a period of time is because you were able to stick to something and improve. And that proof right there, that proof of you being able to improve and increase your strength, increase your endurance, that is proof for you that says, hey, if I commit to something, and I stick to it, I can get whatever that thing is, right? And that applies to everything else in your life. That's probably the biggest cheat code from working out. It gives you proof that you can do something, and anybody can do it. Anybody could go and work out, do some push-ups, pull-ups, go outside for a walk, do that consistently, and that it reminds you that, hey, I'm capable of, if I set my mind to it, if I do what is necessary, not what I want to do. What I want to do and what is necessary are not always aligned, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I do what is necessary, what is required, then I'm going to get the outcome that I'm looking for. And that that mindset bled into my career itself. The projects that I'm doing, the work that I'm doing. If I say, hey, if I put my mind to doing this, earning this certification, or finishing this project, then I have the proof of working out. That I can get something, I can attain something. I have that proof. Why this should be the same exact thing. This should be the same exact thing, So for me, yeah, that was a big improvement. Strength improved, my posture improved a bit. Like you naturally, when you feel more confident, you tend to your posture just improves a little bit, right? And I'm more comfortable in my own skin. I'm much more comfortable in my own skin. Not saying like I'm taking off my shirt every time I step out the house. However, I'm definitely more comfortable in my own skin. I feel good about myself. I feel really good about myself because I see beforehand, I was looking in the mirror and I was ashamed of the way I looked, not because of what anyone else was telling me, but I was ashamed because I knew that I could look better. That's what bothered me the most, right? You have a problem, you have a challenge, you know you could solve it. I knew I could solve it. I said, yeah, if I stick to this, I stay this one, I can solve this problem. You know, and I think that was the biggest benefit is understanding that, hey, I saw a problem and I was able to solve it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I know you're talking about it kind of enhancing your work a little bit more and like finishing your projects, right? What about like the work? Was it just like the character traits that you developed from fitness of just like, being a little bit more disciplined that helps out with work? Or what do you think
Yeah,
is what do you think translated the two things with each other?
great question. It's the ability to suffer through it. You're in a workout, you know it sucks. Like some days workouts are much easier than others. Some days you're working out, you're like, whoa, this I'm not feeling it today. Just or like you're on an aggressive weight cut and doing a workout, you're like, man, this sucks, right? I have a little bit of strength, I'm not as hydrated as I'd like to be. I came from a red eye flight. I'm working out right now. It's not fun, right? That muscle of just suffering through, just biting down your teeth and just suffering through it applies to work as well. When you're in a project and you're solving a very sophisticated problem. It's not black and white, right? You're solving a problem and you realize that whatever route you go, there's a cost to pay. And now you're trying to weigh all the pros and cons and trying to make sure every stakeholder involved is also satisfied at the same time, right? That's tough. That's tough, right? But working out is also tough. Consistently working out is also tough. So for me, being able to solve problems, solve problems that work directly correlated with my fitness as well. The more I was able to suffer through, fitness challenges, the more I was able to suffer through, work challenges. Let's say I have to do work, more than a 40-hour work week. I have to do a 50, 60-hour work week, just the volume of work is so high. Well, because I was working out consistently, I was able to suffer through those weeks where things were just not fun. Right. Yeah. I'm telling myself this too shall pass.
And in your humble opinion, what do you think prevents IT professionals from being healthier than they currently are?
I think I want to preface this. I want to say anybody could be an IT professional. That being said, I think what in my opinion, what stops IT professionals from taking care of their health is it's arrogance. It's arrogance because you're everybody, because you're an IT professional, everybody's labeling you as smart, everybody's labeling you as competent, intelligent, etc. And because people are telling you how smart you are, you feel like, oh, I'm smart, I'm so competent, I don't need to work out, I'm already getting praise for the work I do. I'm an engineer making X amount of dollars. Why would I need to get fit? Right?
Yeah.
Some of the ladies love me because I make good money. Why would I need to get fit? I think it's an arrogant thing to say that, hey, I don't need to work out. If you don't work out, I'm not judging you. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, well, for me, there's something wrong with that. But if that's what you want to do with your life, totally fine. However, to say that I don't need to exercise, well, that's blasphemous. It's complete blasphemy. It's an arrogant thing to say that.
And what do you think holds back young men from going from consuming maybe some self-improvement content and motivational stuff and books along those lines, right, to actually taking action on the stuff in order to see the results they want to, whether it's fitness or otherwise?
What stops people from making action, in my opinion, is fear. And the real fear is getting punched in the mouth. You're scared to look stupid. You're scared to look incompetent. You're scared to get punched in the mouth. But if you know anybody who's amounted to anything in life, they looked incompetent at some point. They got punched in the mouth. They took a lot of losses along the way. Right? There's a price tag for everything. Right? If you've never went to the gym before, you're going to go to the gym and you might look funny, but guess what? Everybody else in the gym looks funny. They're also thinking about how other people perceive them as well. So.
Exactly, man. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the other plans that you have for your future and how fitness is going to be playing a key integral part in that stuff. right? Because obviously we got to you to where you're at right now. We still have about 5 months in your program left. Let's talk a little bit
Yeah.
more about the goals that you want to achieve. Let's talk a little bit more about, how fitness has changed your life all in all, as like an all encompassing statement, and and just whatever final thoughts that you have.
Yeah. So for me, what's gonna be big for me is, not binge eating, after dieting so hard. Right. That's a big thing for me, making sure that, hey, I'm disciplined, I'm eating a little bit more food, but a big fitness goal for me is maintaining my current weight. I'm maintaining, within a few pounds, maintaining my current weight, getting a lot stronger. That's a big thing for me. Getting a lot stronger and getting a lot stronger over the next few months, feeling, yeah, I think just getting strong is a big deal for me. I mean, I've gotten so much stronger starting the program. I'm able to do a lot more volume, but you can always get stronger, right? So I want to get a lot stronger. I want to be able to. My next goal for me is be able to do, heavier pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, heavy weighted pull-ups. That's a big one for me. I want to be able to
Easy
do
peasy.
that for sure. What was that?
Easy peasy, man. Those are fun.
Easy peasy. There we go, baby. Easy peasy. And yeah, just be stronger, maintain a healthy body fat and just continue to improve, really. That's my big fitness goal is continue to improve. Like even if it's a small percent, always continually improving. And that's going to be integrated into my life. If I continue to
Mm,
improve my ability to stay healthy and stay fit, then I can continue to improve in, whatever business endeavors or my career endeavors that I might have. Right. Long term
mm.
for me, I eventually want to become an executive. I want to lead a large organization in the tech space. For me to be able to do that, my health has to be top of mind at all times. You hear about stories about tech professionals, nurses, doctors. I mean, a lot of other professionals where people either burn out, commit suicide, get strokes. Like you hear stories all the time, or they off themselves because of the stress and the blood pressure, the diabetes, etc. I don't want that for myself. Yes, I do want a lot of responsibility. I want to serve a lot of people. I want to solve, large scale problems and take care of my family as a byproduct. However, not that at the expense of my health. So for me, fitness is who I am now. I'm someone who's conscious about who's has his. I'm someone who's conscious about his health. Health is a priority. The same thing as prayer. Same thing as my career, social life, all these things are a priority. Fitness is also a priority.
That's awesome, dude. And is there anything that we did prior to? Because obviously, with these last couple of meal plans that we did for you, it's a little bit different, right? But all in all, is there anything that we've done with you so far that seems completely unsustainable for you? Regarding, are we working out twice a day? Are the workouts too intense? Is the cardio too long? Are we dieting too hard? Or is it something that now that you learned the system, is it something that you can sustain, independent of this program after you're finished?
It's sustainable. It's sustainable. It's the thing is for you to get to a place of being able to sustain something, you first have to be comfortable, really uncomfortable at the beginning.
Yeah,
Over time now I realized like it doesn't have to be fancy. You just have to get a system that works for you. The cool part about getting a coach like yourself is that you create a system specifically tailored for the individual. I can do this. I can work out. I can definitely work out. I can get some cardio. I don't feel anything that's unsustainable. You know, the BASIX protocol works for me. It's my protocol. And what's cool about it that it's basic. It's
exactly.
not rocket science. Pretty straightforward.
That's awesome, dude. So let's go ahead and kind of sum up everything with this final question, right? Because as you know, with what we do, sometimes people will kind of put the basic stuff in in a different box than it kind of is, if that makes sense, right? They'll kind of lump it in with maybe some of the other stuff that's out there. And as you know, it's like we create custom systems with everything. I make myself very readily available for each person that we have on our team, right? So, say for example, if there was someone that was on the fence of joining, they've been watching my content for a while, they see your results, they see JR, they see all these other people that have taken my program,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, something is stopping them from wanting to sign up, wanting to book a call, and they're a little bit scared to take that next step in their fitness journey for whatever reason, whether it's logical or illogical, right?
Right.
What advice would you give that person in order for them to feel more comfortable with taking the next step in order to change their lives, just like you did?
What I would tell them is there's never going to be a perfect time. That doesn't exist. I'm Aaron. You remember I was struggling. I was on the fence. For a week or so. Man, I want to start this date. But you're telling me, dude, it doesn't matter what date you start, man. Like you start in. I was telling Aaron, hey, I'm gonna start in January. Like, why are you waiting until January? And so there's no perfect timing. If you're not going to get some sign from God that's going to tell you, oh, I need to do this, today. There's not going to be some magical, writing on the wall. If you're waiting for that, I'm 99% sure it's not going to happen. What I encourage you is, if you're on the fence, is to really ask yourself, am I going to stop myself once again from getting to where I want to get to? You got to get out of your own way. You got to get out of your own way. Pull the trigger. And the cool part about investing in yourself is you understand that because I put up money, I'm betting on myself to perform. Because if you don't, well, guess what? Yeah, you did waste your money. It's not Coach Aaron's fault. That's your fault, right? If you're not following the protocols, if you're not doing the work, if you're not following the exercises, if you're not, putting time, for the coaching calls or getting that feedback, filling out, whatever you need to fill out, you just won't get the results that you want, right? So I recommend get out of your own way, pull the trigger, make it happen.
Easy peasy. And one thing I also wanted to mention to you before I forget is how we ended up handling Ramadan for you this last year.
Ooh, right? That was a golden one, man. That was a good time.
Let's talk about that, man. How was the experience when you were following our program, and then we had that concern, like, hey, how are we going to handle this? How do we adapt? How do we progress during that time of the year for you?
Yeah, definitely. So for those who don't know, Ramadan is a time where Muslims partake in fasting. And it's not like your regular intermittent fast. It is an intermittent fast, but it's a dry fast. So there's no water, no coffee, no food, sun up to sundown, with a lot of prayer, supplication in between. It's a very spiritual time for Muslims across the world, and it's part of the 5 pillars of Islam. So as a Muslim, it's something that we are required to observe. Right? There are special circumstances where you don't have to fast. That being said, one of the concerns was, hey, when is the best time to work out if I'm fasting sun up to sundown? Another concern was, well, how do I know what foods I should eat, so I can be able to fast? And what I enjoyed, Aaron, you being honest with me, said, hey, man, during Ramadan, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to suck. And I said, what can we do about it? He said, listen, you don't get it. Like, it doesn't matter what time you work out. If you work out early in the morning, once you start your fast, you're still going to feel dehydrated. You're still going to feel, a little tired. If we work out after, you break your fast in the evening time, well, guess what? It's going to be hard for you to go back to bed, wake up early in the morning. So there's no perfect time, which I did appreciate that. And the nutrition plan, you made a very straightforward, simple nutrition plan, which I really, really, really am grateful for, man. During Ramadan, I needed to eat nutritious foods that were filling. I didn't have a lot of time, the whole day to eat. I only had a small eating window. You said, hey, eat these nutritional foods. You're going to eat these calories. You're going to get this. You're going to do that. It was very, very straightforward.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, this is my first time helping out. Yeah, you're good.
Brother, I got someone knocking on the door.
You're good, man.
Yeah.
So I was going to cut this part out right here, guys, but as you all know, with these student success stories, I do not want to be the person that's chopping and cutting all these things up to make it look like I'm trying to make someone say what they, say what I want them to say. So I'm going to leave it in here. I'm going to talk and talk and talk, and now we're back in.
My apologies, man. I had some guy come knocking on.
We're good, man. Yeah, we're gonna leave it in there. That way, people know that I'm not making any cuts in this thing. Anyway, so.
Yeah.
Hey, cutting out anything. Easy peasy. So cool, Abdi. Well, thank you so much for obviously, I'll tell you this right now, man. Like, I'm honored that you're here on your birthday, man. Like, you could have been anywhere else on your birthday, celebrating your 27th year on Earth, and I'm very excited that I'm speechless, man, literally. And you know me, I can talk all day kind of thing. So you have to be speechless that you feel that you made the time out of your birthday, man. And that means more to me than you can possibly imagine, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your special day. You only get one a year for sharing your success, telling the people about your story. And it means a lot to me personally, man. And just thank you, man. I can't find the words to express my gratitude for you today. Thank you.
Man, thank you really, for a phenomenal coaching program. I think, what people don't understand is when you have a legitimate coach, they share with you their scars. You opened up yourself to us. You've shared like, hey, this is what I've gone through. Here's what I struggled with. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of coaches out there on social media platforms, whether it be fitness, real estate, sales, tech, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of coaches, however, there aren't that many coaches that are worth their salt who are actual practitioners of what they do. Right. So if you want to, invest in a coach, a couple of things I recommend anyone watching this is, hey, ask that coach, hey, have they invested in themselves? Right. There are coaches out there that have never invested in themselves or paid for coaching. Right. Ask that coach, like, hey, show me your scars, man. What have you done that has been so difficult? What have you accomplished? Where are the receipts? And I think for you, Aaron, I've seen a lot of receipts from you, from your own transformation, but also from other guys that I personally know in my life that are, awesome human beings who've had their own respective transformations using your coaching program. So it was only a matter of time.
Easy peasy, man. Well, I'm glad that we figured something out for you back then. Again, we still have, final stretch of your program. So let's continue to crush it, man. We'll start your reverse diet ASAP. Just enjoy it today. See if you can book I'll say this right now also while we're on the call. Go ahead and book a call with me on the coaching calls that we have.
Yeah.
For tomorrow, if you can.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and set out we'll look at all your data. We'll figure out what we got to do, where your weight's at, and then we'll talk about the next plan. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you want to go ahead and book your free 15-minute game plan call with me personally, you can go ahead and check out one of the links below. It's either the second or the third link. And you should, be able to book a link on my calendar, or you can just go and book your free 15-minute call. That way we can figure out if you would be a good fit for our coaching program. That way you could potentially be the next Abdie Mohamed in our program and see that transformation that you've been, dying to have for a long time. So thank you all so much for watching this video. And again, if no one's told you in a minute, I'll tell you right now, it's time to get your shit together, man. See ya.